Hi, I'm Bluebee. This is 14 Days of Zines. Welcome to day 7. Today, we're doing some experimenting with double printing and creating riso style artwork.
Part 1. Inspiration.
I've admired risograph style artwork for a while and thought it would be fun to play around with printing multiple passes with the printer. I haven't done anything like this before, so I'm curious what will happen. Will there even be a difference between multiple printer passes compared to just printing the file in one pass as normal? If you're not familiar, risograph printers look like copiers, but work more like screen printing. It's a duplicator rather than an actual copier. It uses a stencil and soy-based ink to print each color separately. Typically, riso prints have between 2 and 4 layers of color, and you can get different effects by layering the colors on top of each other. It creates vibrant prints with interesting little imperfections. I did a tiny experiment by doing some scribbles overlaid on top of each other and then printing each color separately, just to see if this was even feasible with a regular printer. And it worked. So I created this much more detailed chart to see how the different colors interact with each other. I decided to test out pink, blue, and yellow. When preparing riso files, artists use the colors with different opacities to create different effects. So I did the same thing here. As you can see, I used 10% increments for the opacity. Then I printed each color separately, so a total of 3 passes through the printer. This chart ended up being incredibly helpful when trying to figure out the artwork, so if you do decide to try this, I'd recommend making a chart like this with your colors. So now I know I can do something with this idea, let's move on to what to make.
Part 2. The idea.
Here is my muse for today's zine, Winston, my French bulldog. I decided to jump out of my comfort zone completely, not just with the riso style method, but also by deciding to make a comic style zine.
Part 3. Planning.
I've never made a comic zine before, but I think it would lend itself well to this type of project. I'm going to do a little story about mornings with Winston. I also think a square zine would be fun, and I'd like to do 8 pages. I'd also like to fit both pages onto one sheet of letter-size paper, so a 4-inch square zine is what I settled on. I made a quick template in Canva since it's easier to size shapes on there. Then I pulled it into Procreate.
Part 4. The master copy.
So let's start off with the sketches. Sketches are done. I'm turning the opacity down on them, then starting on the line work. After looking at my test chart, I decided on 100% blue and 80% pink for the line work. I put all the lines down in blue, then duplicated the layer, alpha locked it and filled it with pink, and then I lowered the opacity down to that 80%. I also made sure that the blend mode is set to multiply. I'm starting to see how important it's going to be to keep these layers labeled and organized. Now we're colouring, and this is where it gets more tricky. When I blocked in large areas of colour, I needed to remove the line work and other coloured areas from overlapping. I did this by selecting the layer that was overlapping and then erasing those sections from my original layer. It's definitely a very different thought process than artwork I've done before, but I enjoyed the process and getting to grips with it. I started out using 3 colours, pink, blue and yellow, but quickly realised that was a little too much to manage for my first riso style project and decided to nix the yellow. I'm happy with this artwork, so I need to move around a couple of the pages for the correct printing layout. Everything's in place, so I'll export each page in the 2 separate colours, pink and blue. Then it's time to print, and we'll see what happens.
Part 5. Making copies.
I'm going to print a copy of the file with the colours combined in a single pass so I can compare them. Now we're getting to the actual separated prints. I'm starting with the pink layer here. It looks good, so let's put it back in for the blue layer. Here it comes. Now let's do the other side. I have both copies here. The colours on the separated print and the combined print are a little subtly different. The combined print has a more blue tint to it. I do like the multipass print a little more. Of course, the multipass print has the colours from the ones that I chose from the test chart, so that makes sense that I prefer it. Let me trim, collate, bind, and then show you this finished zine. Then I have more to say about this in the thoughts section.
Part 6, final reveal. Part 7, thoughts.
I love how the scene turned out. I enjoyed the process of being out of my comfort zone with both the riso style printing and the comic style art. Making the artwork was kind of like solving a puzzle. I wouldn't want to do this every time, but I'd definitely do this style of artwork again. It was a little tedious at times, especially as I was getting more and more layers. Much like the Roll for Zine game, it was interesting to work around the constraints. I already have more ideas. One thing I was hoping for is the tiny misaligned imperfections with the multiple passes of prints not quite lining up perfectly. But my printer did a stellar job of aligning everything. I tried pushing open the feed tray guides at the back of the printer as open as possible to give it a little bit of wiggle room to achieve that, and I was able to get that slight misalignment on a few of the prints. I really love how the panels of the zine came out. The artwork came easier than I expected, and I think it looks super cute. I have more ideas for multi-pass printing I'd like to experiment with now too. So what do you think? Would you try making art this way? Tomorrow we're doing something completely different and a little strange, so join me back here for that. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.